Hi everyone, this is Jess, aka Sketchwriterjess. Today I'm going to do a reading for Mental Health Monday. It's called the Balance Check Spread. Now I've added a few things. Usually I only do 3 cards. There's one, it's like if you think of it like scales, there's one card on the right, one on the left, and then the middle is the theme that holds them together. Well, I've decided to do 2 cards for each scale and 2 cards for the theme. The cards for the theme are from the bottom of the deck. So, without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to knock the energy out of these cards, and then we can begin. I'm going to call on my spirit guides and my angel to help us out with figuring out a way to balance our lives. Angel Uriel guides Chuck, Cal, and Mombasa. How can all of us in the collective balance our lives so that we can achieve the things we want, especially when it comes to health? How can we weigh the scales? How can we make the scales equal? What is the thing that will help keep everything together? I mean, that's what we need to know. And having the 2 cards per area of interest gives me more layers to choose from. I find it's still hard for me to just do a 1-card reading, so I like to have 2. It just makes it more robust, I guess you could say. So I think we're done shuffling. Oh. Okay, and I will pick 1 card from Notes from the Universe. I've got to shuffle these. Okay. So, looking at the cards, we have 1 scale that has a lot of unknown forces, a lot of drama. On the other hand, we have somebody ready to take the leap, somebody letting go of burdens. So, I mean, this can be 1 person. I think especially like for somebody like me with a mental illness, I have Bipolar I, which has a ups and downs, highs and lows, and then it has a psychotic component. So like sometimes, you know, if I am psychotic, I'd have hallucinations, be hearing things that aren't there. It's not like a psychic who actually genuinely hears things and sees things and it's part of their makeup. That makes sense, so that's fine. But this is like nonsense that happens. Just letting you know the difference. But I do consider myself intuitive, so I like doing tarot. So I think anybody who has a mental illness, it is Mental Health Monday. This could sum up a lot of people, you know. And then, you know, for the theme, we have perhaps wanting to have things grounded, like wanting things to be there, something dependable to be there to hold everything together. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a person, like a relationship. It can be anything. With one of the cards there, it looks like it could be some kind of money, you know, having money, stability, that kind of thing. So now I'm going to show you the cards. We have the Ten of Wands. So that's what it looks like upright. Ten of Wands reversed. We have the Fool. We have the Tower. We have the High Priestess reversed. And this is what she looks like upright. Oops. Okay, reversed. Oops. We have the Three of Wands reversed on the bottom of the deck. Here's upright. Upside down. And then we have Ace of Pentacles. Here, see that with my hand in the way. Okay. And then we have the Universe card. Your treasure is at hand. And I will read that to you. Sure, you can always find prettier, handsomer, skinnier, wiser, richer, younger, zippier, but more often than not, one learns the most, laughs the loudest, and smiles the widest with those they've already found, especially when they stop looking elsewhere. Actually, zippier is on quite a few lists. Tally-ho, the universe. Okay. Your treasure is at hand. Yeah, well, that's perfect with the Ace of Pentacles, isn't it? Okay, now I'm going to look up the definitions in my big book. In my big book here, it has all the cards. I wrote down the definitions from the little book that comes with it. And I invite you to to look in your little book if you're using the Writer Tarot deck. And pick out your own definitions from there. I mean, mine are just a guide for me. And I figure if people resonate with it, they resonate with it. I mean, there's journal writing in here. So, we'll get started now. And then with getting the definitions, and then we'll have journal writing segment. We write a poem, and we write a prose poem. Okay, it's the 17th today. Balance, check, spread. Ten of Wands. Reversed. Difficulties. And I'm going to look up intrigues. Thinking with the Fool, that would be something that would come up. I will say charm. Fascinating. Okay, and the Fool, number 0. Okay, we say Folly. We could say Mania, since it's Mental Health Monday. Say Intoxication. Okay. So now we've got the Tower on the other side. Distress. Adversity. Okay, now we've got the High Priestess reversed. Say Conceit. Passion. You know, she tends to be guarded, so like the opposite of her being that way would be very passionate about something. Instead of like keeping things to herself and working behind the scenes. Say outgoing. Okay, and for the theme, we have the Three of Wands reversed. The End of Troubles. We like to hear that, don't we? We don't need any more than that. Then the Page of Pentacles. Say Study. Application, reflection. I think of it, as like an investment. Like the pentacles are kind of about wealth and abundance. So I'm going to put down investment, like an investment in education. Okay, and then the oracle question. Your treasure is at hand. And I think this time I'm going to write a few things from the back. I'll read it again, though, before I do so. Sure, you can always find prettier, handsomer, skinnier, wiser, richer, younger, zippier. But more often than not, one learns the most, laughs the loudest, and smiles the widest with those they're already found, especially when they stop looking elsewhere. Actually, zippier is on quite a few lists. Tally-ho, the universe. Maybe like being happy with what you have. Gratitude. Especially with the intoxication card there. Didn't realize that's what it was. I kind of thought of it as letting go burdens, but it could be more like letting go inhibitions. So when we come back, we'll start the writing process. Alright, now for the writing portion. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a summary of what I think is going on here for each part, and then we can get going on the writing. What the writing consists of is two parts. There's a poem part and a prose part. What I do is I write my poem with my left hand, and I write my prose with my right hand. I do feel like I notice a difference using two different parts of the brain. So it's up to you. I mean, if you have a hard time using one of your hands, and you can try just using your one hand. It's probably fine. But I think you get more out of it if you give yourself a chance to use both hands. So for the right hand scale, it had the Ten of Wands reversed and the Fool upside. Well, I think that there was difficulties here, perhaps difficulties with an addiction. You can have an addiction to lots of things. You could be intoxicated with lots of things. I mean, I've had kind of an issue with alcohol. I wouldn't call it alcoholism. I don't live and breathe for alcohol. However, it's a bad coping skill for me, so I don't do it too often. I try not to, because recently I kind of got into it again, and I wasn't like having major issues, but it's not the best thing if you take medicine for mental illness to be drinking, even if you're just having one or two. If you're doing it like every week, it can add up, and it can throw things off a little bit. So anyways, there's that kind of intoxication. There's intoxication with people, and that's the one that's difficult for me. Like, I get addicted to thinking about people. So I don't know if everybody who has mental illness does this, but I tend to really get into wanting to be a part of somebody's life, and like I want to know more about them, and I just get into the dreams of it, and I don't even think of the reality. I just think of the actual, just the dreaminess of how I feel, how I want things to go. And that causes difficulty. So I think this could be like foolish dreams. This could be, being fascinated with the dream of a life with somebody, or even just getting to know somebody and you're like really interested in them. So I think that's one scale. And then the other scale, which has the Tower and the High Priestess reversed. Say that there's the stress. There's like passion. There's like when you think of the other scale with the dreaming, there could be a passion there if you're thinking about somebody. You have like an intense feeling for them, and everything feels like it's crashing down because you can't have them, kind of thing, or even not have them. It's just like you feel like you're too far away to really understand them. Like you're in two different places, and you're not able to connect that well. You have limited access to them. So I've had that plenty of times in my life, and I'm used to it by now. So I'm like, well, at some point I will actually let somebody in and they will stay. But until that time, I don't know, I'm doing okay now. I mean, I'm fine. Some of my other videos talk more about some of the things I touch on with love and stuff. But I would say that's part of the scale there. It's the adversity, feeling like there's so much going against having what you want. So then the last part, which is the part that holds the scales, we have the end of troubles and reflection and investment. I said investment in education. I'm thinking that for somebody with a mental illness, it's good to get into therapy. And if you're not able to get into therapy for a long time, I couldn't have a therapist because the state wouldn't allow me to. When I was in Virginia, for years they wouldn't allow me to have a real therapist. I had somebody called a case manager. And so if you don't have a therapist, what I would say is if you're in a situation like that, say that whatever's going on isn't working for you anymore. And at some point they may say the same, and that's what happened to me. So always tell people if something doesn't work, because they may be able to help you find something that works, especially if that's their job. I mean, they could get fired if they don't do their job, so I would say make sure they do their job. So you like invest in therapy, you invest in reading self-help books, invest in relationship, like learning about relationships, learning about yourself and what you like, learning about what you can put up with, what you can't put up with. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. If you're alone a lot, you tend to hold things in, and then, you find somebody and you're like, I can talk, and then it's like, oh, they don't want to talk. So you kind of have to just say, I have the people in my life that I have now, and I love them. They're good people. And I'll always be able to add to my circle. When you think of it that way, it'll get you through that loneliness that can come over you. The Oracle card is, your treasure is at hand. And it talks about being happy with what you have and gratitude. And I think with the dreams, the intoxicating dreams, and that feeling like like everything is against you. Everything is making it impossible to have the dream happen. You know, this doesn't have to do just with love. It can do with anything. It can do with business even. I mean, with the pentacles here, this could be business too. You know, with the intoxication of work. You're like into your work and you're thinking about all the great things that are going to happen. I mean, the Fool here, he's got a little blossom in his hand, see? And he's on his way off the cliff. And he's going to go somewhere and he doesn't know where he's going, but it's got to be better than where he is now. Well, you know, if you keep, like, feeling that way, then I think you're always going to be chasing that dangling carrot. And that's something I've always hated. I've always hated the damn dangling carrot. And I'm trying to get to the point where I'm like, you know, I don't have to chase anything. I have what I need now, and I can make things with what I have now. So this goes for anybody with a creative business. You know how you're like chasing ideas and stuff. So, I mean, work is the same. Work is the same thing. Passionate about work. Afraid everything's going to come tumbling down because it's not working out the way you thought it would. But, you know, if you keep in mind, the investment you put into things, put into your work, you put into trying to have a relationship with people, if you keep that in mind, then I think that you can reach your goals. It'll take time, though, and I've already reached some personal goals. I've been a lot more productive in things. I mean, I've made some hats. I do all sorts of things, and I just have like these smaller goals, and I figure at some point they'll all fit in like a puzzle, big puzzle. They all come together. So now let's get on to writing. I'm going to write a poem thinking about everything I just talked about. So I invite you to do the same. Okay, so next part is the prose poem. So I invite you to write this as well. Okay, so I have finished my writing. I'm going to read you what I came up with. For the poem, I have talking, dreaming, circles in the sand, leaping, drinking, to a net with no bottom beneath it. Grounding, clouded, hazy dreams turn into goals. Completing, fascinating, time keeps going, and so do I. I added just a little bit, and part of it will be in the notes on Instagram. Here's the prose poem. I'm nervous. I will never find a man as kind as the people I know in my family. That fascinates me, though. I must admit, I feel toy energy. I feel shiny trains. I feel fountains with plenty of coin wishes thrown in. I want to fall into his arms. I want to hold hands. I want to love him always, and I'd love to meet him soon. Very, very soon. So, that's what I've got. Those are the things on my mind. And, yeah, I mean, I think the lesson to take away here is to not get carried away with dreams, not get carried away with substances even, not get carried away with that feeling like you need to escape. You know, even in the tower card here, I mean, this person, they're leaping out of the building. So, I mean, you have to be careful that you're not leaping to a bottomless pit. you got to leap somewhere where the net will appear. You know, you have to have that groundwork of reality, of realness. Well, reality, realness, something real, something tangible, a goal, you know, and then like everything can kind of unfold. It can all start to unfold in front of you. You may not know how you're going to get to the goal, but you have something to reach for, and it's something attainable. And I think the same can be said for relationships. I think if you look for somebody who is attainable, somebody who is available, like not taken or married or something like that, if you put out the energy that you're available to people who are also available, that simple thing can make things go a lot better. So that's it for today. The notes will be posted on Instagram, and what I do is I put the poems in the comments now. So if you follow me on Instagram, I'm Sketchwriterjess on there. And I think that's it until tomorrow, which is Twin Flame Tuesday. Ooh. Okay, bye.